hold on a second. Whoa, that is not what I was looking for. But you know what? Let's start it off that way, shall we? Everyone, head on over to Chat BBC. Go to foulterritory.chat. Enter into the trivia contest tonight. Tomorrow is the deadline. Up to a $400 authentic jersey could be yours. Go enter to win. I was thrown off by that one. I apologize about that, but go enter the raffle. Everyone, how you doing? Welcome to Monster Territory. Welcome back. A bummer of a Saturday night. I'm going to be honest with you. I was a little run down today. I thought I was coming down with something like a cold or whatever. I don't know. I couldn't sleep well really last night. Just, you know that feeling where you're not exactly tired, but your body's just not really moving. That's how I was today. And that's how it looked like for the Red Sox here tonight against SHUTOUT Imanaga and the Cubs. Fourth shutout on the season. Actually, believe it or not, that is still one of the lowest totals in Major League Baseball. I was pretty surprised about that. But, hey, the way the Red Sox have come out of the gates here in the first couple of games, I'm not trying to jump to conclusions here. I'm not trying to be that guy. I'm not going to lie, though. It's giving me some memories of last year. Remember the Red Sox? They were looking all right going into the All-Star break. They faced the Dodgers right after it. They ended up getting swept. They lost 7 out of 9 to the Dodgers, the Rockies, the Yankees. They went through that tough stretch. They ended up making some moves at the deadline, but ended up being to no avail. I'm not going to lie. I'm not saying it's fully giving me those memories. This is a different team, obviously, much more talent, but you'd like to see a bit of a better fight here in the first couple of games, right? Yesterday, a lot of sloppy play, defensively, on the base paths, not coming through with runners in scoring position. But the theme of tonight, Imanaga was just in complete control, and that was another bad memory for me. Remember the Red Sox, they were in the Imanaga sweepstakes a couple of off seasons ago, right? You had a few teams involved, but the Red Sox were very high on him. They didn't want to go a long-term deal with him. I believe they weren't willing to go more than 2 years. Might have been 3. Can't fully remember off the top of my head. But the Cubs, they were willing to go a little longer for him. And here he is, dominating the Red Sox here tonight. And remember last year, too, he did very well against the Red Sox. So I'm not going to lie. When I watch Imanaga here tonight, and kind of shows you, really, the Red Sox, I said this yesterday, and we all know this, they need to make an upgrade in this rotation, right? Imanaga, to me, is, I think, a perfect example of a number 2 in the rotation, right? With the Cubs, you could say, right, he's their ace. I would say, Imanaga, if you had him as your 2 in that rotation, that would be awesome. That would be so good for the Cubs if they were able to get a 1. And then you had Imanaga, to go to for a game 2 situation. That'd be perfect. But that showed you right there, the Red Sox need a guy like that. And, Brian Bayo, quality start tonight. Nothing wrong with Brian Bayo here tonight at all. Quality start. Gave up a couple of homers along the way. But he kept you in the ballgame for the most part. But Imanaga just completely shut the Red Sox down here tonight. Only 6 hits, 10 strikeouts, 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. Imanaga, man, it's so. I'm not gonna say I had fun watching this tonight, obviously, because the Red Sox losing here, but part of me enjoys watching him pitch. I can't help it because I love pitching, right? I love the art of pitching, and with Imanaga, he's just very fascinating to watch because he's not a guy that's going to blow you away. He's not a guy that's going to pump in 95 up to 100 miles an hour. This guy's going to be sitting low 90s. He's going to be working in different off-speed, breaking pitches. But with his fastball, it's sitting low 90s, and it just has this carry on it. It has this life to it, and that's what made him so intriguing to a lot of teams out there. A guy like, again, he's not even pumping gas, and he just completely dominates you. It's pretty wackadoodle to watch, in my opinion. Even on his splitter tonight, so good. He had 10 whiffs on his splitter tonight, 7 balls in play on it, 65 mile an hour average exit velo off his splitter. I mean, the Red Sox couldn't do anything. They were looking silly here tonight. just goes to show they need something at the top of the rotation behind Garrett Crochet. And I think this is a bit of a wake-up call. I said this yesterday, so I'm kind of repeating myself, but I think even more so now, especially if you're going to be going up against a guy, at that level, not Imanaga necessarily, but at that level, you're going to have to counter that in the postseason, right? If you get to the division round, 5-game series, you're going up against a guy of that caliber, you are going to have to counter that. I mean, again, no disrespect to Bayo. He was fine tonight. But I like Bayo in a game 3 or a game 4. Now that's I'd say game 3 I'm okay with Giolito, Bayo, whatever it may be. Game 2 though, you need something better to match up against a guy like that. It is what it is. It is what it is, right? Also, another interesting fact. Last year, through 100 games, guess what the Red Sox record was? 53-47. Let me just double check. Is that the same record? Yes. That is the current record for the Red Sox as we speak. 53-47, just like last year. I do think this is a different team, obviously. Obviously it's a different team, but I have more hopes for this team. I'd say in the end, you lost this series. Let's see if they can go out there tomorrow, go pick up the game 3 win, salvage the series. But this was a wake-up call. Absolutely. I mean, sure, National League team, right? Obviously, you're not going to run into them, in the American League postseason. But just goes to, they are a really good team. I was very high on the Cubs coming into the year. Kyle Tucker, that guy's a menace. He's an absolute savage. Kem Rosenthal also put this out here. Speaking of Kyle Tucker, we're seeing a lot of him here this weekend. Kem Rosenthal put out the idea that maybe the Rays could go make a run at Kyle Tucker with new ownership. Maybe they want to go after a star, be the face of the franchise for years to come. Could you imagine having to deal with Kyle Tucker in this division for years to come? I don't want that. Please. Oh, I don't want that. Kyle Tucker, he homered here tonight. That would be miserable having to see that guy, 9-10 times a year. I do not want that at all. But the Cubs, they continue to look good here. Again, I think they are one of the top contenders in the National League. And the Red Sox, they got punched in the face a little bit here. They did. 10 straight wins going into the break. They said, hey, hold your horses here. Hey, this is what a postseason team looks like. You're going to have to get up to our level here. You got a little bit more work to do. So the Red Sox have work to do. Yeah, you could sit here and say, oh, they absolutely need a bat, right? They need to add something for this lineup. We've been talking about making an upgrade possibly at first base. Abraham Toro has struggled for the most part. But Toro had a couple of hits here tonight. You're going up against the lefty here. Rhys Hoskins, Josh Naylor. I don't know if those guys would have been able to do anything. Maybe if you have Yandy in this lineup, maybe you could have done a little something, possibly. Maybe. So, yeah, I still think the argument stands that you do need to make some kind of an upgrade with this lineup. But Imanaga was just so good tonight. Would any of those guys have made a difference? Probably not, right? The whole team, you just got to find a way to step up against these guys. And Imanaga, he is kind of an enigma. He's just a different cat. So I said this last night coming into the game. I knew this was going to be a tough one. The guy's just he's a freak of nature out there. The way he just spins the ball, man, it's absolutely insane. But let's get into it here. We're going to talk about Bayo here tonight. We're going to talk about this offense. It's going to be pretty quick here tonight. Not going to lie. There's not really a whole lot to talk about. I'll probably read the chat for a little bit. That's how quick we're going to move through things. Before I do get started, though, we just have a word from tonight's sponsor. I'll be right back. Never bet on baseball before? Well, it's easy. Pick a guy to go yard, hammer some live odds mid-game, or just ride your squad and hope for the best. No spreadsheets, just vibes and dingers. Now, here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. So what are you waiting for? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
And everybody, just one more time, I'll say this because this threw me off at the beginning of the show. I did not mean to play this at the beginning. But again, chat BBC, go to foulterritory.chat, go enter the trivia contest. You can win an authentic MLB jersey of your choice up to a $400 value. Contest ends tomorrow night, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Go take advantage. Go show how much you know some ball. Go win yourself a jersey. Then you can brag about it to all your friends. But let's get to it here, everyone. Let's get to it here. Like I said, Imanaga, this man was just an absolute monster here tonight. He was an absolute fiend. But, you know, Brayan Bello was not bad. He was not bad. It's just, it was a mismatch, in my opinion, right? Bello overall, 6 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned, 4 strikeouts. 1 walk, couple of homers. He's mixing in the 4-seamers and the cutters a lot here tonight. He's getting the sweepers going. I threw some sinkers and some changeups in there. A pretty balanced approach for the most part. It was the first inning that did him in. Michael Buescher, the home run. You can't be leaving sinkers right over the plate like he did. Kyle Tucker with the home run next. Just left a meatball fastball right over the plate. Yeah, I mean, you know, simple as that. Just meatballs. Bad locations. Good hitters are going to do a lot of damage against pitches like that. Maybe you can get away with that with, say, I don't know, Connor Wong. But, yeah, you're not going to be able to get by Mr. Kyle Tucker on a meatball right over the plate. And I actually saw here in the chat someone was talking about Kyle Tucker. Let me go pull this up here. Zachary, how you doing? He said, are the Rays a big market now? Well, no, I don't think so, but again, they're getting new ownership here. So, you know, could ownership be motivated to go after a star player? Remember, they went after Freddie Freeman. Remember that. Remember a few years ago, all of a sudden the Rays were in it, right? You're thinking, what? Freddie Freeman to the Rays? What are we talking about here? So, at some point, I do think the Rays are going to make some kind of a splash. And if there is ever a time to do it, I think Kyle Tucker could be that guy because he is from the area. That could make some sense. That would be horrible to have to go up against Kyle Tucker that much. So, but as for Bello, you know, he did settle down. Second inning, Swanson with the walk. Horner had a base hit. He got moved. Swanson got moved over on the ground out. Brujan had the sac fly that made it 3-0. But after that, I mean, he was fine. He worked around a few base hits along the way. Again, not a bad night. I just think it was really a mismatch, you know, against a really good Cubs offense. And Imanaga on the mound, you just gotta match up better, in my opinion. I think Brayan Bello, he's better off going up against, you know, say like a Colin Rea right now, or, you know, say Jameson Taillon, right? You know, the Cubs, I mean, expect them to be looking for some starting pitching at the trade deadline here in the next couple of weeks. But you know, Imanaga, Matthew Boyd, those guys have been very good for the Cubs this year. So to me, I look at Bello. You know, you could say maybe Bello more probably suits up better against Boyd. I just think Imanaga, he's just a different cat. So I just think it was a bad matchup, in my opinion. But for the offense, you know, oh, that's not the right screen. Goodness gracious, we were having a tough time here tonight. That was the news show the other day. Goodness gracious, my brain's not working here. But listen, you can get a quality start from Brian Bayo, but they had opportunities tonight. It's not like the Red Sox were just completely looking like fools for the entire night. Ref Snyder had a leadoff double. Bregman ground out to move him over in the first inning, but then Roman striking out. You had a shot right there to really get some momentum at the beginning of the game. Second inning, Massa, Toro, base hits back-to-back, couple outs, but then Connor Wong striking out to end the inning. Seventh inning, once again, Massa, Toro, base hits yet again, 2 outs again. Connor Wong, again, not able to come through, flying out to Horner. So there wasn't a whole lot of opportunities, but they did have some along the way. Imanaga is just that good. It is what it is. There's really not much else to say. Bullpen, Chris Murphy came in. He was giving up some meatballs as well. Give up 3 home runs. Pete Crow-Armstrong, Matt Shaw, and Ian Happ. First runs he's actually given up all year since getting called up to the Red Sox this year. So it is what it is tonight. There's really not much else to say. That's pretty much the show for the most part. But we do have Game 3 tomorrow, and let's see if maybe the Red Sox can find a way to salvage the series. And hey, we've seen this before. We have definitely had our fair share of this, where you call on Garrett Crochet to put a stop to things. And hey, I'm actually excited about this one. Listen, Garrett Crochet going up against the Angels, going up against, just whatever team out there. But when you're going up against good competition, this is who you want on the mound. And this is where the Red Sox, they get a bit of a mismatch of their own. All right, Cade Horton, I definitely think there's a lot of talent here with Cade Horton, but there's he's 11 games in so far in his career. That's it, right? Just getting called up really this year. And he's a first-round pick back a few years ago, 7th overall. There's a lot of talent here with Mr. Cade Horton. All right, good fastball. He's got some good breaking stuff as well. Well, we know the deal with Garrett Crochet. We know the deal. However, some of these guys have seen him, right? The White Sox, they were going up against the Cubbies last year. Ian Happ has a homer against him. Horner has a home run against him. You guys like Suzuki, Swanson, Turner, they got hits off of him. PCA has a hit off of him. So, these guys, when they saw him last year, they read him pretty well. This is a different Garrett Crochet, obviously. One of the best pitchers in baseball. But I expect Crochet to go out there tomorrow, day game, just go out there dealing. So, I see you in the chat. Moose1534 saying oink, oink. Absolutely. This is the oinkiest of oink moments here. You need Crochet to oink up tomorrow. But yeah, Cade Horton. Let's actually go into Cade Horton a little bit more. Let's pull up the Fangraphs page for him. FIP is right around the same at a 4.39. Like I said, he's going to pour in a lot of fastballs. He's going to give you some sliders. He's going to give you some off speed a little bit with the changeup. He'll mix some cutters in there as well. And let's go over here to good old StatCast. And let's see what the advanced metrics are looking like with him. So as you can see, he's going to give you some good velo, right around 96 miles an hour. He's going to get you to chase a good amount. That's slider, or well, they say it's a sweeper here. But 79th percentile when it comes to the chase percentage. Gets a good amount of swing and miss as well. He doesn't walk a whole lot of guys, so he's going to get you to chase out of the zone. He's going to have good command. He's going to throw strikes. He's also going to get some ground balls. So, we saw a lot of weak contact over the last couple of nights here with the Red Sox. So, let's see. Cade Horton, he's been able to get these guys to hit the ball onto the ground. Let's see if the Red Sox can maybe find a way against him. Now, the one thing, even though he does get guys to chase, does get guys to swing and miss, his strikeout percentage is very low. So he's had trouble putting guys away. He can get ahead, but that's the one thing that's been eluding him so far is putting guys away. He's also given up a decent amount of barrels in the 6th percentile. So let's see. I would imagine for the Red Sox, hey, expect them to fall behind a little bit against this guy who's got good stuff, but attack this guy when he's got 2 strikes on you. right? Take advantage of the lack of the put-out pitch. So that's the way I'm seeing it with Mr. Cade Horton. So, but let's take a look-see at the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Again, there's not a whole lot to talk about. Actually, really quick, if we were to take a look at tomorrow's lineup, again, Horton is the right-hander. So I would imagine you're going to see Willie Abreu back in that lineup tomorrow. Marcelo Meyer, I would think he's probably going to get a start there tomorrow. Ref Snyder Romy probably going to take a seat. So he's going to get those lefties back in there. Toro with a couple of hits here. So I would imagine he's going to be probably back in tomorrow. I would imagine hopefully Narvaez is back in there tomorrow. Also, why was Narvaez not playing here tonight? I just feel like, I don't know. I just feel like he should be playing. I was kind of thinking, why is Wong starting? Are they just resting his, just managing his rest and whatnot? But you just had the All-Star break. So, I don't know. I don't see why Wong was in here tonight. I feel like if anything, you put Wong in the lineup for tomorrow when you got Crochet on the mound and you got a rookie on the mound. So that was a bit of a head scratcher why Wong was in the lineup here tonight. I would imagine Narvaez is going to be back in there tomorrow. Jaron Duran, I would imagine he'll be there tomorrow as well. So we'll see what happens. But let's take a look-see at what you guys are saying here in the chat. We got about 5 minutes to kill here. If you are watching on Nesson, thank you for joining me. And if you are watching here on YouTube, if you can, just hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. We're trying to get to 5K by the end of the year. Andrew the Goat, the Red Sox played some terrible baseball tonight. Yeah. I'll be honest, though. I wasn't really expecting a whole lot against Imanaga. I really wasn't. He's so good. So good. Again, he's a freak of nature. He's a freak. He's throwing 90 miles an hour, and he's making it look like it's like 200 miles an hour. Crazy. Andrew, you also said the Red Sox should not be getting shut out by teams. That's bad baseball. Credit to you. You got to give credit to Imanaga as well. He's very good. What do we got here? Doc Jazz, the Cubs have the best winning percentage, run differential, runs per game, second in slugging, third in OPS. And that's another thing. The Cubs are just really good. I said this at the beginning of the show. They're a World Series contender, in my opinion. I think a lot of people were sleeping on them coming into the year because obviously the Dodgers, right? The Padres, they're always getting noise, I feel like the Cubs, even though they had themselves a good offseason, I feel like teams or fans out there of other teams were maybe sleeping on them a little bit. I had them getting to the National League Championship Series. I'd had the Dodgers beating them in the National League Championship Series, so let's see what happens there. But I wouldn't be surprised at all to see the Cubs in the NLCS. What else we got here? Feel free to ask questions in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. If there is ever a time to ask a question, now is the time. Dramatist, I'll take 31 home runs on the Red Sox right now. I would too. That'd be pretty nice. Honestly, since Chris Cotillo reported about Yandy Diaz the other day, I've warmed up. Well, I was already warmed up to the idea, but oh man, I would love a guy like that, a guy that gets on base. His bat's gotten hot as of late. That would be very nice to have a bat like him, but I would not complain about a Josh Naylor. I would not complain about a Ryan O'Hearn. That'd be pretty nice. Would be nice. What else we got? Polar, the offense has talent, but there's no real superstar, no real cleanup hitter. It's hard to compete like that. The potential's there with Roman Meyer, Abreu, Seti. That is something also. It's like who is the true cleanup hitter on this team? Who is the 4 guy? So that's where if I'm looking at, guys like Josh Naylor, just a big old bat that you can put there in the middle of the order. Let me take a look here. Where has Naylor been batting in this lineup for? Yeah, Naylor's been batting cleanup for the Diamondbacks. You know what I would love? Teams usually don't like to do this, I've noticed. But I would love if the Red Sox could get some kind. If Merrill Kelly was the guy that you go after, I still am holding out hope it's going to be Joe Ryan. But if Merrill Kelly would be a guy you go after, I would love if they did some kind of a package deal. Teams usually don't like to package guys together because they want to max out the value. But man, I would love that. If you can go get both those guys for the rest of this year, that'd be pretty nice, man. That would one trade that could solve a couple of different issues. Christopher, Robbie, do you see Chris Sale as a viable option? No. I don't think the Braves are going to move him. Braves want to compete. And he's been a good fit there. I don't see the Braves moving him. I actually think that was a report. I think that came out at some point in the last couple of weeks that the Braves were not going to trade him. I would say for starting pitching, you're still going to hold out hope for Joe Ryan. Maybe the Twins come around to it. Maybe I do think you're going to have to get a third team involved. Who knows? Maybe you don't. That to me seems more likely if you were to go that route, if they were to get that done. I'll bring up Merrill Kelly once again. Maybe Seth Lugo. I could see someone like that. I wouldn't mind Kelly or Lugo as fallback options because I think those are two veteran guys that you can trust. Again, they don't have the upside of a Joe Ryan, but if you're not able to get a deal done like that, which is going to be hard to do, that's not going to be easy. It might already be done where the Twins don't want to move him. I don't know. Who knows? A lot can happen until the deadline. But if I were to go after a couple of veterans, Kelly, Seth Lugo, I don't think those would be terrible ideas. I'm not the biggest on Lugo at Fenway Park. The FIP with him has been higher. So I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at. But no, I don't think Chris Sale is gonna go anywhere. Yeah, Mason, Lugo, getting up there at age. Kelly too. It comes down to what are you gonna have on the market? What's gonna be out there? I mean, Zach Gallen, but Gallen's had a tough year. Sandy on the Marlins, he's had a terrible year. I don't know, maybe the Red Sox could figure something out, but do they want to bring in another guy coming off of Tommy John? I don't know. Edward Cabrera, he's having a good year, but he doesn't have the track record. So who are you going to go after? Doc Jazz, what's wrong with Ryan? Nothing's wrong with Ryan. It just might be too difficult to get him. I mean, at the end of the day, he's a starting pitcher 2. He's even an ace on some teams out there. It's going to be hard to pry away a guy like that when he has more than 2 years of control, especially on a team that they are trying to compete every single year. That is going to be really hard to acquire. I think it can be done. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's just going to be very difficult. Scott, would Nathan Eovaldi be available? I talked about this the other night. I don't think he's going to be. I'd be surprised if the Rangers gave him up, right? They just signed him to a 3-year $75. To me, the Rangers want to compete. That's a good team there. If they can get their offense fully going, the Rangers, they could go on some kind of a run. We'll see. But everyone, I'm going to wrap it up right there. Thank you for joining me here tonight. A bit of a bummer of a night. We'll see what the Red Sox can do for Game 3 tomorrow. But everybody, I'm out of here. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow for post-game show.